You might remember how this painting went viral on TikTok when women started using it to express discontent regarding different things. The whole thing started when the painting's attachment to Verdi's Requiem, Dies Irae. But eventually, the internet took over as it often does, and it turned into a proper meme with everyone using it to air disappointment and respond to weird takes. But what's the story behind it? Why is the woman so angry? And why do we care? Did this painting make as much of a splash in the 19th century as it has done in the 21st? Let's get into it. Auguste Toulmouche was born in Nantes, France in 1829. After learning sculpting and painting locally, he set off to Paris in his teenage years to avail the tutelage of Charles Clair. At 19 years of age, he was able to exhibit his work at the Paris Salon. The Salon was the umpteenth establishment in France at the time. It was responsible for determining the merits and direction of arts in the country. The Salon's hierarchy had established historical works as the most prized possessions, followed by portraiture, genre painting, landscapes, and still life in that order. Toulmouche dabbled in the second and third and was categorized as a realist genre painter. He was highly regarded in France and abroad for his elegant and sumptuous domestic scenes. His salon exhibits would earn him much renown, so much so that even Napoleon bought one of his paintings. However, the good times did not last for long. In the 1870s, Impressionism started to take off, and academic painting went out the door. With the likes of Manet and Monet subverting tropes, Toulmouche's fame would dwindle. Side note, he was married to Monet's cousin and was even approached to take Monet in as an apprentice. In any case, as the new guard emerged, he remained committed to the conservative styles that were disappearing with the invention of the camera. And this painting came at a time when the modernist train was choo-chooing into town. Now, Toulmouche was never a truly radical artist. The novelist Émile Zola would go as far as to mockingly refer to his painted women as Toulmouche's delicious dolls. But in this painting, we see a little subversive spirit. Absolutely fuming! It's unlikely you'll ever see a bride more irritated and outraged than this one. It would be criminal to start anywhere except that terrifying gaze. The fourth wall breaking gaze is slightly, but not too unusual for the time. Subjects would sometimes look toward the viewer. What does set this one apart is that the subject does not look with a gentleness. She looks with ferocity and, dare I say, hatred. Sometimes titled The Hesitant Fiancé, the central subject is being prepared for some sort of ceremony. She is wearing a minimalist silk dress, a high-neck gown. The silvery white outfit was fashionable for the time. In her book, 19th Century Fashion in Detail, Lucy Johnston writes, "The fashion for white wedding dresses started in the mid-18th century, although most people were married in colored gowns. By the early 19th century, more and more women opted for white as it implied purity, cleanliness, and social refinement. The custom has stood the test of time as most European and American brides opt for a white wedding dress. A non-white dress is almost considered bold and unpredictable. In this case, however, the implication of purity made the dress no less expensive. The immaculate fur trim would most likely have been imported from Canada. The color is an interesting choice for composition as well, because it stands out against the opulence of the rest of the room, and that allows us to nicely segue to the other subjects that occupy the room. These characters are all so lavishly dressed for the event. Two of them wear similar furs on their dresses, which could not have been cheap. This theme of luxury permeates across the entire frame. The print on the chair, the gleaming candlelight, vase, and other decorative items behind it, and the splendid golden frame of the mirror. The golden frame is mirrored, no pun intended, on the right side of the room as well. And the golden table that accompanies it does little to play down the opulence. One can even see reflections of gold beaming out on the floor. Looking at the floor, one also suddenly notices the astonishing golden lace on the kneeling girl's dress. The three subjects and their colored satins visually differentiate them from the central character. And the same thing happens in the background. A beautiful, if relatively muted tapestry with floral designs sits between the two glittering golden mirrors. The bride's own chair is also dark, but that's not all that. Another part of why our eyes dart to the central subject is because it pops against the traditional movement of the ladies. Their regard for social norms and behaviors gives the room a little bit of life to counter the deathly presence in the middle. The girl on the left kisses her gently on the forehead. The other one kneels down on the floor, almost as if convincing the bride to do away with gloom or begging her not stir up any drama. Who are the two women? Are they her friends? Her sisters? While the three characters are huddled together in the middle, one stands apart. The girl on the right. The girl is looking into the mirror, focused on looking her best. The innocent creature is not yet aware of the complexities of adult life, social obligations and practicalities like court intrigue that are probably responsible for the dreary scene we're watching. After contextualizing the entire scene, we come back to the defiant woman, her foot resting on the small tool, a small bouquet in her hands, and resentment in her heart. Who was she? Why did Toulmouche paint her? Well, he got married the same year, a marriage the papers labeled as a marriage of convenience. And interestingly, they were not the ones who'd coined that term. The painting was originally exhibited under the title Un mariage de raison at the Académie des Beaux-Arts Paris Salon. There is reason to believe, then, that the real story was probably not far from the artwork. The bride had to comply with her parents' choice, who'd found a suitable match to maintain their social status. Unlike Toulmouche's other domestic scenes, it has a clear narrative. He was known as a fashion painter, and while that prowess is on full display here, the scene has a clear personality this time. The women without brains, a critic's comment about his work, are replaced with a conscious, autonomous figure. This theme can also be noticed in one other work known as The Forbidden Fruit, painted the year prior. In that painting, girls can be seen going through a trove of books, garnering forbidden knowledge as one of them keeps watch for any party poopers. Some scholars have debated whether the two paintings are connected. Both portray the same number of women, so they could have been someone in the artist's circle. Just like the woman in the painting, Toulmouche's own life went through a radical change in 1870 when he joined a French battalion against the Prussians. After the war, he settled back in Nantes, where he built a workshop and continued to work for the rest of his life. After he suddenly passed away in 1890, his work was forgotten for the longest time. It wasn't until 2023, when TikTokers started to discover the feminine rage in one of his paintings, that his work witnessed a much-deserved resurgence. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you like our content, subscribe to the channel. What do you think about The Hesitant Fiancé? Let us know in the comments below. That's it for now. We'll see you in the next one.